Hello and welcome to Cuckoos First Flight, a rather experimental podcast from a team at Big Punch Studios in which we attempt to play, write and develop an entirely new RPG system and mechanic from scratch in real time because we're masochists. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hiya.
And once again, if you're joining us, probably you recognise our voices by now, but in case you don't, I'm John.
I'm Ali.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Lucy.
And we are playing a crazy little game of our own devising, set within the universe of Cuckoos, which is one of the stories we make as a team of creators.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been playing this first kind of inaugural game for a few weeks now. I feel we are approaching the end state, but because this is it's a work in progress, and we are
Open source.
exactly, and we are trying to improve the game as we develop it. Nothing is set in stone. I think we're quite lucky in that it hasn't flat out failed
No.
yet,
Yeah,
which is quite good. But before we dive into this, our next session, we had a bit of housekeeping.
We did. We had some lovely feedback from a lovely person
Hey, online.
called Robin Node. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He gave me instructions, so I hope I got it right. Who suggested a use for the strategy stat, where it could be used to identify weak points in an attack, weak points in a villain, in an opponent, which we thought was a really interesting idea. I really liked how it's slightly video gamey, how, you was like, do they have a giant glowing eye? But with a bit of discussion around the table and with Robin himself, we thought it could go a little bit further, perhaps. So what we'd like to try out is that this will now be the in-game use of the inspiration stat.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are stuck at any point for what to do, if you are faced with a combat that you feel you need more information about, or a situation that you need a bit of a kick in the right direction, you can roll an inspiration check, and if you pass, the DM will give you a hint.
Yeah, because for those listening at home, the character creation which Lucy developed revolves around 8 stats: strength, will, dexterity, deduction, strategy, knowledge, charisma, and inspiration. We won't go into them all in detail at this point. Please check out, I think, episode 1.
Yeah,
which hopefully
we rambled on about them for a while.
If you've got to this point, hopefully you've heard episode 1. However, one of the stats, inspiration, was something I personally found quite exciting going into it, because I wanted it to be kind of like the X factor. Like the
wild card.
Exactly, yeah, the thing which can't be planned for or defined. And the issue, however, it's not really an issue, but the issue is we haven't really used that.
No.
Hasn't come up, has it?
No, it just hasn't been.
Ali even has a tea set that gives her extra inspiration and has had
I have
no
tea
reason
set.
to use it.
I suppose that there will always be stories that are perhaps more combative or more
using one or more
charisma
stats.
or so maybe it's just not one of those times. But
I think because all the other stats could govern practically any scenario. I'd like, because of course we've had combat scenarios and we've had just like exploration and storytelling scenarios, which I think is pretty standard for any role-playing system. And I think all the stats are working absolutely fine out of combat. In fact, the combat we've had, I think, worked
I think it was
fine as well.
Yeah,
I
it
guess
felt quite real. Like it felt like I could understand what I was doing and how I was hurting people and how I was being hurt. So, yeah.
entirely, yeah. And I think so I think for one thing is like we could make it more interesting, which is where kind of like Robin's suggestion has kind of opened up like a can of worms. I think a good can of worms, because you're thinking about a few ideas, and I really like this idea of because Nick, I mean, you've been playing Final Fantasy 12.
I have
lately.
recently, yeah.
Is there not a spell called like scan?
Yeah, Libra, essentially.
Libra, yeah. And when you apply it,
it allows you to not only see traps and hidden sort of magics in the world, like as you're navigating the overworld, but also in combat brings up detailed character information for the thing you're fighting. So you find out its name, you find out its level, what it's weak to, which is specifically important, like its elemental weakness, and therefore you can start casting spells that are appropriate. And if that is applied, if Libra is applied, it's a skill, I think, rather than a spell. It's like a technique. Then that character, as long as it's in your team, will automatically make your party aware of that information. Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is that maybe, like, as we work to solidify these rules and kind of make us all more comfortable with it, much as in, like, if you're playing D&D, your go-to thing would be rolling for initiative. That's just your go-to thing in any scenario.
Yeah.
I think we should all kind of remind ourselves, until it becomes second nature, to be a bit more aware of, like, inspiration, and to think, like, what are the situations in which I could apply inspiration? Because we want this to be like a really like a very storytelling based
story first. Yeah,
entirely. Yeah. So even in combat, you know, I'd like to see, like, if you could make a compelling case for doing a thing which is cool, a thing which drives the story forward, that would be great. But if you're struggling to think of something, or you just need a bit of guidance, that's where inspiration could come in.
And it goes on to you then.
Yeah. well, entirely, yeah. And until the rules are, you know, a bit more concrete, this is what we'll do, and we'll try and be a bit flexible and creative. But like,
I think it's a good idea because it ruleifies, it codifies the exact thing you're saying, the X factor. That often, like, top-end dungeon masters and really good role-playing game players will have in their arsenal anyway, you know, that ability to think on their feet and to come up with something quite imaginative. Like, I mean, John, Ali, and I, at least, are quite new to RPGs still, unlike you, Lucy, who has played quite a lot. And so, you know, sometimes that thinking in the right sort of way is a bit of a challenge, and maybe this will help that.
I've noticed even myself, it's been an issue in some RPGs that I've played with some groups. You get to a point where you're like, I know the DM wants me to do something, but I have no idea what it is.
Yes, exactly,
And that's unfortunate because that very much breaks your immersion in the roleplay because you're metagaming.
Yeah, it gets tired.
And if there's something in the game that actually just allows you to go, I don't know what I'm doing, what's here? Yeah. And it could be, as John said when we were chatting about this between ourselves, it could be even like the DM points out that there is a chandelier on the ceiling.
And it's as simple as that.
Or there is a pipe that's slightly dented in this corner or something, and you'll go, okay, fine, let's look in that direction. Yeah. Or it could be you realise that this creature you're fighting has very low will, and you're like, okay, well, maybe I can trick them rather than hit them, you know?
Because that's the thing, like, all the stats we have, I mean, we have physical stats, like strength. Well, I mean, like, the first 4 strats maybe lend themselves more obviously to, like, combat.
Yeah.
I mean, because we have flat-out strength, which is, you know, something we can all relate to. Pardon me. Dexterity, which is speed. I mean, you have will, which is strength of mind, deduction, which is like speed of thought. So I'd always like this idea that, like, when it came to combat, if you could make a compelling case for attacking with any of it, like, I mean, like, so say you have a gun, and the gun gives you a +2 modifier, which allows you to roll 2 additional dice when attacking. You can choose the stat you want to attack with. So some of these really aren't going to work. Like, you know, it'd be very hard to make... I think you couldn't really make a case where you could use will to attack with the gun.
With a gun,
what I mean?
no.
But
unless you were intimidating someone.
Yeah, it could be like...
This is...
Well, here's the thing, like, I mean, strength, dexterity, strategy, and charisma immediately, I think, lend themselves to an attack. So you could say, I'm attacking with strength. That's like the most bog standard one you can imagine. You could say, I'm attacking with dexterity.
It's like acrobatics or...
or like you use your speed stat. Like, how quickly can I get...
Maybe climb up on someone's back and, like, stab them in the neck or something.
Then we have like, strategies. So you could say, like, well, I'm not a very strong character, but I have a high strategy stat. So I'm choosing to attack with strategy. So you could say, like, well, I'm going to do, like, a kung fu strike or something. You know, like, I'm going to use a very well-aimed strike.
Focus on a pressure point.
Yeah, or could it be, like, you attack by, like, firing a grapple hook into the ceiling and swinging at
Yeah,
them,
you
or,
see,
know,
entirely.
that
So
kind of thing.
this is why Robin's idea is very interesting. So if we take Robin's notion of how do I work out the weak spot and move that onto inspiration, and I think this would be an interesting. I'd love to hear what all your thoughts are. When we get round to developing, we're developing the rules now. This is a live process, but I'd like the idea that maybe we could put into the rules a certain perk that you would get if using one of these stacks, or like something which would give you reason. So if I attack with strength, I feel like that could be pretty standard. If I attack with dexterity, could it be something like, maybe you can move a little quicker, you may be able to hit multiple targets, but then they may do less damage. I don't want to make it too complex, but you know what I mean? Like, if I choose to attack with strategy, could I get some bonus for doing that? Because I think at the moment, all of you, and quite rightly, because the rules are simple at the moment,
Have attacked with
the
strength.
attacks are just kind of simple.
Yeah.
I think for me, the bonus comes from being able to do it, because I have 1 strength but 5 dexterity. So if I could somehow make it possible to attack with dexterity, and I get to roll 5 die instead of 1, that for me is already a bonus that I'm able to work it in my favour, that I'm using my own strengths rather than my own weaknesses.
Okay, no, that's
So
interesting.
to me, that would already be a bonus.
So what are you all? I mean, in the combat so far, what kind of stats were you all attacking with?
I was attacking almost exclusively with strength because I had a spear, which gives me +2 in combat, and that just seemed like the most obvious thing to do. A spear is a strength weapon, not necessarily. I mean, I guess you could make the argument that you could use it dexterously, like more of a sort of spinning bow staff kind of thing going on.
Or like use it to like vault over
Yeah,
something.
But I am not a dexterous individual, so I'm not.
Maybe this is where the storytelling element comes in. So say like you're being attacked by some people, and you go, "There's a guy right in front of me. I want to shoot him." I'm like, and you go, and I'm going to shoot him with strength or dexterity, whichever one you want. I'm like, fair. I can see no reason why you couldn't be able to do either. But if you said something like, but there's 2 guys who are a little further away and they're both running at me, and this is where the storytelling element comes in, and you're like, but I reckon even though this guy's a little closer to me, maybe I want to get 2 quick shots off, or like I want to do, or as you say, like I see the chandelier, or I want to like swing on a rope or something, and you go, but I want to do that with strength. The DM might be like, well, actually, I think that's
It's
more.
better if you use
I think that's more of a speed, and you're like, but my speed's a little
crap.
low, and I'm
In
like,
which
well,
case, that's not the character
Yeah.
to do that action with.
yeah. Then I'm like, well, that's the kicker. then.
Do you think it's more down to you to decide which we use? Do we say what we want to do and you tell us how we do it?
I think the one thing that's been really good so far is that we're all on the same side, which is nice. Like this is my first time DMing, but of all the kind of podcasts I've listened to of people playing the game, like ultimately it's not you versus the players,
No.
or vice versa. It's we're all working together
Team
to tell a
effort.
cool story.
Yeah, that's all
So it's
about
like,
it.
so if you want to do something awesome,
You wanna
I'm
do what you can to
here
let it
to
do it.
facilitate it
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than prevent it.
block.
Yeah.
But I think so at the moment I think that's working fine. I'm just wondering like if there's anything we could write down, so if anyone was playing this at home and wanted to like a little guidance on how to make it work. But I don't know, unless
No, I think this is good. We obviously didn't get the chance to try out the whole changes to defense and attack in the last session because nothing attacked us and nothing.
Here's hoping
was-
nothing this time.
I'm sure nothing's fine. I'm sure that massive
No.
hulking guy who's wandering around here somewhere is just completely dead.
It's just a
he's
red herring.
fine. Yeah,
Just
a
yeah,
red
it's
herring.
not a
It
problem.
might be quite nice.
He might be.
for all we
yeah.
know. I mean, like, of course, you had in the previous session, you had the psychic kind of mucus creatures, and they, I think, Ali, they did like a particular psychic attack on you, and we said like,
I froze, didn't I? I was frozen.
that's
in
right,
fear.
yeah. So then that was a case where it was like you need to do a will saving
And
Yes.
throw.
lost, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
miserably.
Yeah. So I think it's fine at the moment because we all, I'm making this up, and we all know the universe and we know each other, so it's quite forgiving. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the tricky part is, and this is clearly why coming up with a role-playing system is tricky, and not just everyone does it, because you have to try and think of every eventuality? Or...
But also the beauty of it is that you can't sit down without playing a game and think of every eventuality. Like, if anything, you kind of got to play it to know for sure that, you know, we're encountering new things that maybe the system hasn't been prepared for, and so now we're adapting to accommodate that.
Yeah, and I like the fact that we can just, you know, talk about these things and see what works.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Because ultimately we're trying to tell a good story here.
Yeah.
And I hope you're all having fun doing it.
So are we bringing in this new concept then, as of now?
I see no reason to delay.
Let's
Cool.
try and
Brilliant.
let's try and trial it at least. So
Yeah, sounds
if you
like a
can
plan.
all just kind of keep in mind inspiration, as it were, and I guess we'll take it from there. Really.
Yeah. Shall we get on with trying to not die?
Let's do it.
Because
Okay.
apparently
Anyone
we are
wants some garlic
all
bread?
dying.
roll for nutrition.
1.
Ah, it's a fail.
I know.
Put it on the floor.
Pretty accurate actually for garlic bread.
One nutrition.
Yeah.
Bread makes you fat. Okay then. So
Okay.
how about I do a little recap and then we'll go back
Yep.
in.
Sounds beautiful.
Okay, so
What's occurring?
for those just joining us, and if you are just joining us, you probably have no idea what's going on. We enter the Extraverse, which is the space between stories, and we are following the crew of the future legend. The future legend being a ship, a bird ship that sails the space between universes and stories. So our characters are, and a few of you have mouths full of garlic bread right now, so I'll do it for you. Our characters are Lucy playing Ritua,
Yep.
who is a
8R scientist.
an ATAR scientist, so a large blue humanoid.
I have 4 eyes.
You have 4 eyes. And
2 of them on stalks.
Yes.
we have Nick, who is playing Capella, who is...
An ex-Melodian, now lamp user.
And lamp users in the context of Extraversal. A lamp is a very powerful plant-based drug, which when taken imbues the body with immense reality-bending power. The catch being is that you go into terrible withdrawal symptoms.
You can use the energy in bouts of 3, referred to colloquially as wishes.
And then we have Lynette.
I am a human, well, from feline, but I am a human. I'm an engineer. I have a cat called Jason, who is bonded to my soul.
And currently
And,
missing, I seem to remember.
Yes, I don't know where he is.
And responding to a distress call, the future legend has entered a universe where they have found the downed son of the Silent Age, which is another extraversal ship, and it is colloquially known as a pelican because it has a very, very, very large beak at the front. If anyone's listening to this and would love to know what a kind of extraversal ship looks like, we would recommend going to our website, www.bigpunchstudios.com, hopefully where you're listening to this podcast. Because you can check out Extraversal, which is our magazine, which features all the adventures of Cuckoos and the Extraverse.
But as a note, I am going to draw some of these
Yeah,
ships.
Nick has
especially-
actually been doodling the ships down the margins of his player character sheet.
Yeah, so I've drawn the Son of the Silent Age, and I will do a proper illustration of that down the line.
It's going to be very exciting. Okay, so entering this universe, you descended to the ground floor, and you, well, ventured...
Ground floor of the universe.
The ground floor of the universe, sorry. You landed, you disembarked, and you walked...
It's just the 2 of us, John. There's too much garlic bread on the
There's a
other
lot
side
of
of the
garlic
table.
bread being eaten right now.
It's so good.
And you've entered the downed hulk of the Son of the Silent Age, finding several kind of zombified former crew members.
Why was it zombies? Why did it have to be slime zombies?
An awful lot of slime.
Ugh.
So much mucus.
All the surfaces are covered in a thick mucus crust.
Love it.
And you've also found...
Can we go to the flowers universe next time?
Yeah. I'll plot a course. Wait, I'm not the pilot. Whatever, I'll work it out.
And you've also found weird kind of floating maggot creatures made of mucus, which are psychic
Yeah,
as well.
Just to add insult to injury.
So after a climactic battle in the kind of bridge of the ship, you fell quite far down into the belly of the Son of the Silent Age, and you found the med bay, which had been kind of quarantined and sealed off. And going inside, you found 3 uninfected crew members who had sadly died while in suspended animation. And you also found...
It's not very good suspended animation.
No.
They were...
Well, it's infinitely suspended.
Yeah.
It's
Until we cure
suspended
death,
forever.
they are fine.
Mental note.
They will not move.
Pure death. And you also found Aaron 1, who is a mechanical humanoid who is immune to the virus and has himself been... Well, he's basically the only survivor. And he failed in trying to save his crew. and now you're here, and his message to you is basically, well, you know, I'm pretty sad because my crew is dead. I see you now as my responsibility. You responded to my distress beacon. We have to get out, but we cannot bring the virus with us, because that is the big reveal. The crew has been infected by a kind of weird macrovirus, and basically the mucus, every particle, is this intelligent virus, which is driving the bodies of the infected and is forming these kind of psychic mucus maggot things.
I'm okay though.
Nich is okay. Capella is okay because the wish energy in your blood
Because I just took a big puff, as it were.
essentially is enough to sterilize your blood
Yeah.
and drive the virus out. Because basically, whatever science we know, you break it.
I hate
Okay.
science.
Okay, so when we left our heroes, you had begun kind of pooling resources where Aaron Wong's limited research into the virus, coupled with Capella's bizarre reality-altering wish powers, Rutua and your scientific knowledge, and we were down in the medbay, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where we left off. Okay, so re-entering the excitement. Your moment of peace is shattered
Oh, nuts.
by an almighty bang on the door to the medbay.
That's not good.
Capella, give me like an entire armful of blood and then go sort that out.
Sort that out on my own. Okay.
Okay, so have you, are you in the process of kind of drawing?
I would like a sizable sample of Capella in some way.
Okay, so we shall say that you're just in the process of,
Yeah.
drawing
Piping some out.
a little blood. There is a second bang followed by a third, which begins to kind of build in frequency. While
As
you,
if someone's trying to get in?
well, that's very perceptive because while you cannot see through the door, you recognise the sound of angry arms banging on a door is universal, basically. Aaron 1 immediately rises to his feet. Lynette, you were trying to repair his shoulder, and he runs over and kind of slams his metallic hand down on a security button next to the door. There was, as you remember, there was this kind of like quarantine tent around it, and you see like the little control panel flash red, and he tells you that he's driven the security locks through. However,
How long will it hold?
I don't think this will hold, and the banging is getting increasingly loud. Okay, what are your options, people? What would you like to do?
I say hello. Can I help? No, I
Can we in any way access the ship's environmental controls from here?
No, you know that the heart is where the magic happens, which was up on the bridge.
Lynette, can you in any way access the ship's environmental controls from here?
I can certainly try. I can patch into some bits of electronic,
Consoles or
console that I can find.
Okay, well, I mean, down in the med bay, the science bay, there's a fair number of those. Could you
Okay.
please take a deduction check?
Okay, so that is 7 for me.
Yes.
I'm very deducing. Ooh, it's good. Ooh, 11.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay, so you begin tinkering away, and it's kind of as you suspected. You cannot access the ship-wide environmental controls from here. However, you can. You are immediately able to get like a small printout, like a small kind of like schematic of this floor of the ship, and you can tell that while there's clearly something quite unpleasant in the corridor outside, there is a ventilation shaft and a ventilation network you can access.
Which is how large?
Well, I think it would be large enough for
A cat?
large enough for a cat. I would say at a push, even large enough for the three of you.
Okay.
Like it's maybe not long, but you may be able to get into the cavity wall or kind of
We
at
taking
least move into
Aaron
the
one
next
with
room.
us.
I mean, he's kind of a human shaped, isn't
I
he?
would say Aaron 1
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I would certainly like
I
to
think
come
we
with
should
you.
I would like to not be here.
Yeah. Okay, so
Okay, well, I need to just get as much information as I possibly can into my scanner. Is there... My scanner is not really set up to do any serious, like, vaccine production study kind of thing, which, for Lynette and I'm quite keen to have.
Okay, well, look, I mean, you're able to download all of Aaron 1's research. Aaron 1 himself is coming with you. You see, at this point, Aaron 1 is kind of like grabbing up a small bag. He's kind of like putting a few small pieces he can in it, little
Yeah.
tools and odds and ends, like blood samples, that kind of thing. At the same time, there is a minor explosion from somewhere near the door, and you hear something kind of crack and fuse from within, and you're kind of aware that you only have a few minutes ahead of you.
Okay. So Lynette, where does the ventilation shaft go?
Well, I look at the
The-
blueprints and I say...
And the and the blueprints tell you that, the arrangement of the floor of the ship, central corridor, rooms along the side, this ventilation shaft, which if you can imagine is kind of like actually at ground floor. Like if you kind of pulled a kind of plate off the wall. It's on the wall, but kind of like no
At floor
higher
level.
than like mid-thigh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And it would kind of it would run kind of behind another room, if you will. It would kind of take you towards the rear of the ship.
And what, enter into another room?
It would enter into another room. You'd have like a kind of short, kind of little...
But at least that means we can get away from whatever's banging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I just, as a little urgency, Aaron 1, who's now kind of like shoved a few things in his bag, is saying like, we have to
Yeah.
get out of here because...
Okay. So if you guys all go first, and I'll stand by the door.
Uh-huh.
If it breaks, I can do something like force field it,
Yeah.
barricade it, or something to buy us more time. But I'd rather not have to use a wish on that. So let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll have many more guns. Aaron 1, just as a little incentive, would just like to say, if we leave this world and we can get off this world without any trace of the virus, we'll be that's good. That's what we have to do. But like, if any fragment of this virus makes it across, we're all screwed. And if things get bad, if we can't get out, we can't risk it getting hold of a future legend.
Okay.
You know.
So we need to cure it before we get there.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you can either if you can make it across safely, and
Guarantee we'll solve it on the ship.
fine. But it's like we cannot let this virus make it out into the Extraverse again.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I would like you all. Okay, so that's the plan.
That's
the
We're
plan.
going to start feeding
I'm going
into.
to clambering into a ventilation shaft.
Yeah.
Very Half-Life-y.
Okay, I would like you all to take a strategy check.
That's a bad sign.
Oh no.
None.
3.
1. We all die.
Okay,
3's all right. That's half of what I could have had.
to before you have time to put your plan into action.
Of course.
The door explodes with a flash of kind of pink energy.
Pink.
Yes.
Okay.
Vibrant pink kind of flash of energy. So
like it.
it's more than just hands now. We're talking boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weaponry.
So Capella,
Hello.
you I would like you to no, you've taken I'm running through it in my head, sorry. Okay, your wits are about you. You at least are able to just kind of like cover your face. You look up and you see framed in the doorway one of these kind of bizarre maggot like creatures.
Oh, floating.
Floating, yeah, kind of like, and there's this weird kind of pink aura kind of shimmering in the air about it, and it attacks. I'm going to need some dice. Yeah. Okay.
Only 2 dice, though. It's okay.
It's alright.
Okay. I will take a few more just for safety's sake. Okay, so I'm trying to remember how this works now because I'm getting a little rusty. It attacks, and I'm really struggling here. What am I missing?
What's the problem? Because this is an issue, if the rules are unclear.
Yeah. It's maybe just like maybe the back of my brain is not working. I'm just trying to think.
You are dribbling.
If it's attacking, you need to pick a stat that it's attacking with.
Yeah.
And
That's...
then you roll the number of dice
Depends whether it's
listed in that
psychically
stat.
or physically.
And Nick would choose how he's
Is it
defending.
attacking me? I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
basically. So okay, so yeah. So unless I'm missing something, it's going to attack you. So it's kind of like flare of pink energy blasts out from its head
Okay.
towards you,
It
and
has a head.
It's like a lava.
yeah, it kind of has like an.
I'm
bit.
picturing
It has
Kakuna
an-
from Pokemon, but like purple and slimy, basically. Don't know if that's accurate.
You know, I'm glad that my descriptive thing came across because oddly enough, when I first came up with these things years ago,
Oh, did you?
Kakuna was oddly enough like a little,
Touchstone. Yeah.
little inspiration for him. Okay, so help me out here, guys, because I'm feeling a bit dim all of a sudden. if we're attacking, say it's going to attack with a psychic attack,
Yeah.
Right.
obviously. How do we decide?
Well,
this
that's probably
would
going to
work?
be a mental stat that it's
Be
attacking
will,
with.
would it?
Isn't it
Yes,
will?
it'd probably be will.
Willing you to be dead.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
overpowering your
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is this its freezing, sort of immobilizing ray that it
No,
has?
no. It has like a physical attack,
Oh, right.
which you kind of the three of you witnessed in the battle above.
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
also has a kind of like a psychic. They're both psychic. You know, one's like a kind of.
So one does impactual
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah.
And
And one of them affects your brain.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think you can. That is a tricky one, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's
Well-
like concussive force.
yeah.
If it's hitting you kind of telekinetically, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that it is willing, still
Yeah.
willing you. It's still using a mental
I mean, if
stat
there-
to do
it's
physical
But I
damage.
could defend it
But
physically.
you could
like
defend it
magic,
physically, yeah.
Isn't it? It's almost like magic.
Yeah.
So if you were a wizard, I would say that you would use will as your magic
It's like intelligence,
attack.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would say it's
But that
similar
may
to
cause someone physical damage, and they
Yeah.
could defend
So
with
I'll
a physical.
block with a physical stat.
Well, that's the question though, because I'm struggling to remember how we did this last time.
I think
round.
originally we said that if you can defend an attack with any stat that kind of makes sense in the situation, but if you are being attacked physically, you probably need to defend physically. Like if someone's in the process of attacking you, you can't charm them out of it.
No,
Like you might
but
be
of
able to
course
charm
if
them out of
you-
it up until that point.
Yeah.
But of course, if you could do this sort of
Yeah.
brain
Preparation.
Yeah.
like I don't know, force field, you could use will to defend against the
Yeah,
physical.
yeah, yeah,
Does
yeah.
that- I think it's
Yeah.
whatever makes sense. In
So
the
maybe I
context.
need to put
This is
some.
this in that case. This is a special ability that they have. The same way that I have a laser pistol that gives me +1.
Yeah.
It's a special thing. Like
Yeah.
it's a
Something
card
it can
and
do.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
has
so
a spell.
So this is where
whatsoever.
I need to kind of like give some kind of, flavor text.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, in so much as this blast of psychic energy lashes towards Nick.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're saying like it's traveling like psychic energy, like is it conceivable they can block that he?
Well, is it a
could, or-
telekinetic attack or telepathic attack?
It's visible, right? It's
Yeah,
a
it's,
beam.
it's visible. It's like a kind of.
So I'd see a charge, a light, a glow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel an imminent expulsion of charge.
I would say, particularly for a lamp user, you could probably dispel that or
and I've
guard
got
against
an
it.
affinity with energy because I've got an idea about what I'm going to do here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want me to tell you that?
Okay. So this is maybe. So maybe I just say
I
okay.
think you're thinking too hard about the rules.
Maybe I am.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I'm starting to metagame it. It's
Don't
the problem.
metagame
Yeah. Okay.
It's
so
hard when we're making the game at the same time.
okay. So an arc of pink energy lashes towards you. And you have a split second to
Okay,
react.
so I would like to use a wish to generate 2 golden circular shields that form on the sort of backs of my forearms.
Nice.
And I
Yeah.
would sort of raise to sort of like defend myself out of instinct. But I'd like to probably use inspiration for this because I think thinking quickly in order to generate a wish that fast is probably going to require inspiration.
Okay.
I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Or would you say that's dexterity?
You could argue. I mean.
You know what?
It
I'd
could
like
be-
to argue it's dexterity because I've got more of that.
No, I think this is fine though because like an attack is coming towards you. You're responding with speed.
Yes,
And
I'm
it is a
responding with speed.
physical
Yeah.
reflex,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Dexterity. You're
And
holding
basically
your
what I'm
hands up.
doing is I'm very quickly picturing what I want to generate
Mm-hmm.
and then doing it as a reaction.
Yeah.
But I'm very used to using my wish energy, so that would come somewhat naturally to me. And
Okay,
it's
but-
defensive entirely.
Okay, so we'll say like you've activated your first wish,
Mm-hmm.
and like you did with the gauntlets and the sword in the previous session, you've made a construct.
Yes.
Okay.
A physical object that will last a little while.
Okay, so we'll say that because you spontaneously generated a shield, we'll say that the shield.
Do you want me to roll for the generation of the shield?
No, we'll say it's happened, but we
Okay, cool,
say
right.
as,
2 shields. Or whatever.
Yeah, as kind of like with the gauntlets, it's like you are building a weapon.
Yes.
So now you have the weapon. for
Okay.
As long as so we'll say that the weapon gives you a +2 advantage. When
Okay.
used.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the attack hits, and I would like you to make. Well, you have to defend.
I do.
Basically.
So that's a +2 that the shields are giving me. You're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's I'm guessing to my strength.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it's physically like you're just stopping
bracing,
power,
yeah.
then that sounds like strength to me.
Okay. So that's
So you get
4
2
then.
naturally with strength, and then you
Yeah,
get
and
2.
my +2 for my shield.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, here we go. That's a bad roll. That's only 2.
Okay. This hits, and you take 3 damage.
Okay.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid too, John.
Okay. Lynette, you see this blast hit Capella square on. She's able to throw up the shields, but clearly it kind of takes some damage. What do you want to do?
Oh,
Get out. Just get out. Just
have
get
I,
out.
at this point, have I got any sense of where Jason is at all? Like,
No, you can sense that he's
just not around.
near.
Okay.
Okay.
No, but you're not sure where.
Right. Okay. So he's not going to help.
But no, the question is, I mean, like,
Well, I mean, I've got a laser pistol. Is it feasible that
Just
I mean,
pile
would
in,
I
just
hit
get out.
Nick?
Just get
if
in
I-
ventilation.
Sorry, not Nick.
Just pile out.
Capella.
no, I think
Just get out.
No, I
I'm
think
holding it. I've got a shield. Just get out.
if you want, you have a decent shot. If you
Okay.
want to try and take it.
I certainly think I would probably fire at it.
Okay.
If we kill it,
This
we
was
can
the plan.
keep going.
The
Don't
plan
worry,
was
I'm-
I'd hold it and you'd get out.
Don't worry, I'm going to hide in the ventilation shaft. So
Good.
It's fine.
I'm glad you're respecting the plan. This is what I said. I said I'd hold and you go.
All right. Well, you're shouting at me to. Get
That's
out.
exactly what's
Holding it.
happening right now.
Right. Fine. Okay. Well, then, in which case, I bundle into the ventilation shaft.
Okay, so you leap in.
Yeah.
I also
With two arms.
leap into the ventilation shaft as least clumsily as I can with a massive Eva helmet on and
Who has-
just my longer
And a
limbs.
spear.
Yeah, and
Aaron.
a spear.
No, it's a bit of a squeeze for you, but
Please
you
don't
are
spear
able to
me
kind of
in
get
the
in.
bum.
I will do my best.
Aaron is going to hop in as well,
Great stuff.
reluctantly as it is. Okay, so ta-da. The creature fixes you in its gaze once more, and
It has an eye now?
It kind of does.
I imagine it's got a little bulbous eyes, like Kakuna. Again,
Yeah,
I'm
Okay,
still
okay, so
picturing
I need to
Kakuna.
look at this
It's like
Pokemon
this
clearly.
weird little kind of embryonic kind of maggot thing floating in the head, but there's definitely a head. You know.
Okay.
Like I said, it's
Like
not-
a maggot.
Yeah, and it fixes you with its gaze, its terrible psychic gaze, and a second blast lashes towards you. So I'd like you to respond,
Again with defense. Yep.
or what do you want to do?
I think at this point I still probably will because I'm covering.
yeah.
I'm covering for.
But this is an
your
example of
escape.
how, say, you want to make a case of, well, I'm going to defend with dexterity, like I'm going to leap aside or something like that. You know.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I mean, look, surely that would.
Oh, yeah,
work,
that sounds
right?
absolutely fine, yeah.
Okay, so this blast lashes towards you.
Yeah, you know what? I will do that. I'll defend with dexterity because I'm afraid of the damage again. So I will aim to sort of roll out the way of this one.
Okay, grand.
You do like that Captain America roll on your shield.
On my shield.
Like-
Yeah, exactly. 4.
This one. Did you log your damage from the last
I did,
hit
yes.
as well? Okay. It's sadly it glances you, and you take 2 further damage.
Okay. More for the team. That's what I'm here for. Okay.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you your job, but shouldn't Nick get a chance to respond now? Like,
yeah. No, I think
Yeah,
that's
sorry.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So
Now the
we've got-
combat is literally just the two of them.
Yeah. No. Thank you. Please keep me honest here, because. Okay. Yes.
I'd like to say that I can sort of, over a very short range, push these shields away and back kind of thing. Kind of like Captain America throws his shield and they bounce around the room. It's less like that, but it's more like a sort of push.
Shove.
And then it returns to me. Kind of, yeah, like a shunt. Probably does very little physical damage, but keeps things away kind of thing. And so I would like to push it to buy time to get into the shaft myself.
Okay, that's fine. So you just kind of like blast this
The shield
shield
goes
out.
away and then back, like bonk, pushes it backwards.
Okay. Well, pick
Yeah.
a stat and attack.
I'm gonna go.
Might confuse it if you do a good job.
It might do, yeah. I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna go for strength because it's an impact launch sort of attack, and I have +2 with the shield anyway. So
Do a good job.
for 6,
Hey,
it's pretty good.
not bad.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's super effective.
Excellent.
It's
cre-
super
Gone into
effective.
space.
I mean, bearing in mind, of course, that these things, as far as you're aware, are made of mucus. You know, you actually smash it against a wall.
Oh, fantastic! Yes, that's what I
It just kind of just
Ew.
pop,
Well,
pop.
the med bay isn't clean anymore, at least.
No. So you're like, yeah, this is great. I feel pretty good. You know, at that point, 3 of the strange zombies lurch into the room after it.
Okay. Well, I think I would already be turning tail
Yeah.
to move into the ventilation, so I'm going to make a break for that. And if I could roll dexterity, if you want me to do that.
No,
or-
I don't think you need to.
Okay,
That's
I
fine.
will enter the shaft and shout down it. Oh my god, move, guys! We got zombies. I will probably close it behind me as well, just to buy us a bit of time.
Cool.
Just close the little shaft door.
Okay.
Okay.
Grand. Okay, so you narrowly make it into the ventilation shaft.
I think we were following Lynette, weren't
Yeah,
we?
a few kind of like scrabbling arms after you. But sadly, the zombies don't appear to be coordinated enough to kind of like make it.
Oh, that's good.
Make it in.
Excellent.
Okay, so I guess you're now kind of making your way in single file down this ventilation shaft, and you can hear kind of like
And
this.
I'm going bonk, bonk.
You can hear a very distressing kind of snarling and howling behind you from the creatures. What's going on?
Okay, well,
You're leading.
I don't think is there anywhere to turn or options, or do I just lead us straight to the end?
To the next room.
You kind of like you realise that the ventilation shaft stretching away from you is a straight line. There's
Okay.
really not much going on at
Okay.
all, and it's actually not massively long either. So you make your way along, and you there's a little grill covering away. You can see through the grill a darkened room, just another room within the vessel.
What was keeping this ventilation shaft sterile?
That's an excellent point, actually.
Well, to be fair, Aaron 1 did have a sort of sealed room within the room. didn't
Yeah, I
he?
mean, that's a good
Yeah.
point. I mean, like, he, maybe you broke the seal when you
Yeah.
entered the ventilation
We're
shaft.
infected now.
We went through the weird shower thingy doodle.
You were clean at one
Yeah.
point, basically, is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay, so I can see through into the dark room. Did
What
you
can
say?
you see, Lynette? What can you see?
Do you still have your helmet lights? Like,
I'm
Yeah.
no longer. Am I still in my suit?
Yeah, I think,
I think we will have all stayed in our suits.
Yeah.
I plan to stay
I
in
think
my
that's
suit.
fair.
Okay, well, I think the grill is really going to obstruct my vision properly. So I think I'm going to poke my head out and sort of loosen the grill, ease it open, and see. Just poke out and see what I can see. Obviously with my headlight on.
Okay, you enter this darkened room, and you can see that, well, it's very dark, but thankfully you have your torches. You can see that, thankfully, the room is empty. It was once, a cabin. Someone lived here. The door to the main corridor, mercifully, has been kind of jammed shut by falling debris and the like. You can see that the ceiling above you has collapsed at some point. Thankfully, the room above you, from through the hole, also appears to be empty. There's a smell of kind of, well, you can't smell it, but there's a sense of damp, rotting wood. Thankfully, this area appears mostly sealed off from the rest of the ship.
Okay.
So the door that would lead us out to the corridor where they were banging on and subsequently came through is blocked.
Yes.
On this level.
Yes, on this level at least.
Okay, is there a door in the room above that perhaps would open?
Yes, I mean, there's kind of like, there's a certain symmetry to it. So looking up through the hole in the ceiling, you can see another
have our-
once
Our
habited...
boat diagram here.
There'd be a room above that
Yeah.
room. So
Yeah.
like both
Yes, you can see that there is a door to the corridor
Okay.
through there.
Well, I guess I say, it's safe. You can come out. I think I would do. I guess like perception, whatever the closest to perception would be. Is that knowledge or no deduction? I suppose.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I don't know whether there's anything worth deducing, but I'm gonna do one anyway, if that's all right.
What? On?
Just look around, just see is there anything of interest in this room or.
No, I think no need for a check.
No?
I'll tell you,
Okay.
like, it was once a living
Right.
quarter.
Okay.
So yeah, I think if anything, the three of you need to work out your kind of plan now.
Well, I'm going to. This room looks reasonably pleasant compared to what's about to come up behind us. So I'm going to sit in the corner with my scanner and as much stuff as I can, and just like I'm working on this research while I've got the moment.
Yeah.
The rest of you can figure out what to do. I'm trying to make this vaccine.
I'm quite conscious of the fact that we kind of it would be good to cure it here before we left, and then if you can
Then
solve
the
it,
ship's not contaminated
Yeah.
in any
and then
way.
if you can solve it, but don't administer it until we're out,
Yeah.
but before we get aboard the future.
But that's what I'm going to like turn all my mind to. So
Okay.
I don't know. Can I maybe do a knowledge check to see if I discover anything
Or
immediately?
inspiration.
I could use my inspiration sucks.
Um,
I could borrow from the world though. Haven't done that for a while.
Would you like a cup of tea?
Oh yeah. How much does it give you?
+1.
How are you going to get it in
How are
through
you making
the?
tea?
Yeah, we're
What-
wearing suits.
No, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an inspiration check, but I'm actually going to borrow 2 soul from the universe.
Sounds fair.
So I end up with 3 for my inspiration check.
Great stuff.
Oh, we could do that.
Yeah, I'd forgotten actually. Oh,
Oh no.
got one.
I got 1.
I got one. Well, I mean, it's not much in the way of inspiration, but you can tell that sadly, it may be beyond you, given the tools at your disposal to synthesize a vaccine.
I did worry that might be an issue. That what we needed was probably in the med bay.
Well, if you're looking to, I mean, but one thing you can glean, I mean, you've not got the solution, but what you can tell is that this is perhaps, it's not something you're going to be able to do on the fly, and certainly not with a horde of angry beings behind you. I mean,
We have a med bay on the Future Legend, I'm sure.
I'm guessing that I'm making huge assumptions here, but since the Future Legend runs with a crew of an engineer, a punching person, and a scientist, it's probably a fairly science-based route that we run. Like, you know, we probably don't we don't come up against much kind of combat and such, like, or even much trade necessarily, or maybe we trade in scientific goods, that sort of thing.
well, no, like I said, the inspiration check you took, it's not giving you an outright solution, but it is telling you what won't work. And from your expertise, you can tell that conventional science is perhaps not going to help you at this moment.
Maybe we should just get out. We should focus on getting out.
Okay, I mean, is that perhaps we climb on each other's shoulders and get up to that
Get into a big trench coat.
upper floor?
I'd like to talk to Aaron, if I may.
Yeah.
Aaron, is there another sort of scientific facility on this ship at all?
No, this is, and he tells you that this is all they have. I mean, like, in his experience and his extensive, you know, time serving on a vessel, he'd never encountered anything like this. He did everything he could. I mean, he is the knowledge you have now is the best. I mean,
how about are there extra stores of sterilizing fluid anywhere?
No, he thinks this is it now. Like, we need to find a way. His primary concern is cleansing the 3 of you, basically, just making sure you're okay.
I'm thinking, like, we could get back to the Future Legend, but not take our suits off, so that we're kind of sealed away, and then all we have to do is make sure the outside of the suits is sterile.
But he did say, of course, that essentially the 3 of you have already been exposed.
Yeah, but if we stay inside the suits, we don't contaminate anything else, whilst maybe using the Future Legends facilities to create something that would help.
If our suits are mucky with mucus.
Yeah, but if
going
our
back
suits are
aboard the
dirty,
ship.
that won't help.
But it will if we synthesize a. Yeah, but.
I mean, like, but of course, Aaron's saying, of course, the only one he's not worried about is Capella.
Well, it's to do with lamps, isn't it?
Yes, the energy in my veins.
Yeah, so is there...
How many more lamps do you
to
have?
lamps.
Like, you don't have any with you, but what do you have back on the ship?
Oh, I've got a farm. Probably got a good, like, maybe 10 or so that are
I
ready,
wonder
5
if
or
that
so
would
that.
purge us of the...
You want us to use lamps?
If you take lamps, you're going to get addicted like me. You'll all become.
Have a great time.
We don't have enough lamps on the ship to service all of your addiction.
all you know is that the energy.
They're mine.
All they know is that the energy, kind of like moving through your body, has effectively sterilized your body of the virus.
Well, basically, then our priority, I suppose, is to get out before your lamp runs out, so that you at least are clean.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to get reinfected, wouldn't I?
Well, Nick, could you give me an inspiration check?
I certainly can. I've got 3. 5.
Better.
You determine that while it would be a little risky, you think you may be able to apply your energy manually through touch to essentially sterilize your kind of
I was
crewmates.
balking at this at first because I was afraid that I would hurt them, but I've sort of had this moment of realization.
You think this may just be the best damn option you have
It might
at
be
this
the
point?
only option we've got.
Okay.
Yeah.
In which case, we don't want to do that here, because we'll just get reinfected as we go out. Because
Well, we're in our suits.
We're in
we'll
our
be alright.
suits.
Yeah, you're in your suits at the moment.
that's
Like,
true.
If we take our helmets off now, and I touch you, and attempt to do this, and then we re-suit up, assuming it all works out.
I
and
mean,
then we
this
get out.
room hasn't been touched by the virus, I'm guessing.
well, it's not
It hasn't-
airtight. I mean, I guess
you're
at this
infected
point you
anyway.
can't
Can
really
you-
guarantee.
No, but if we get... Like, if you help us, and then... by
Yeah,
having
you're
helmets
kind of reminded of the fact that, like, the sky is kind of the limit here.
Yeah.
It would be well within. It'd be simplicity itself. I mean, the basic shapes you've constructed for combat, it would be well within your power to create a small localized area. Maybe require some focus.
What, to create a sterile area?
Well, I'm just saying, like, this energy, you're like an ocean of energy kind of bubbling under your skin at the moment. Like, you don't think it would take a crazy amount of application to be able to, well, sterilise yourself, your colleagues,
How
a
many
local
floors
area.
are there above us, by the way?
It's a 3-story.
So we can get into the middle story, and then there's
Yeah.
another story above that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we fight our way out first, and then you fix us
what
when
if
we're
I
on the
don't
planet's
use your
surface.
wish, just
Because
Just save a wish for this
Can you use the other 2 wishes whilst you're still running this one? And then if you have to expend your wishes to do this, you pass out and you're no longer protected, and there's nothing.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you
I-
are the powerhouse.
Yeah.
I
it's
think
gonna
I can run wishes in parallel, but obviously I'd use them up. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, bear in mind, like, there's this infinite amount of kind of power at your disposal, but in 3 very condensed bursts. So while it would be a complex thing to do, maybe with the guidance of Ritua and the knowledge of Aaron 1, you might be able to make this work.
Yeah, okay. So, do you want to do it now or do you want to wait?
I think we should get out of the ship first, because we're not actually ill yet. Like,
No.
we're infected, but we're not ill. We should get out of the ship, out onto the grey desert outside, then do it, and then get back to the future legend and nuke the place from space.
Okay, I'll save a wish. I'll save a wish then.
Okay. At that precise moment,
Of course.
you hear a kind of rumbling.
Okay.
I'm just going to let that sink in. You hear a rumbling which is familiar. I would like you all to take a knowledge check.
Mine's very bad.
And Ali, Lynette, I'm going to give you an advantage on this because it relates to something mechanical.
Oh, okay. So one
If
extra
it,
die?
yeah, you get a bonus on things.
Nice.
I got 0.
Ooh, I got 4.
7.
Ooh.
Wow. Wow, kind of like putting the engineer of the mechanic out of the job. Rutua, you say out loud, that sounds like the engine cycling up.
Oh,
Of the
And-
ship.
I don't. That's bad. That's bad.
And
Kill it dead.
And Lynette, you agree
I do agree.
with your extensive knowledge as a mechanic and engineer.
And I just go, "Bo."
You start chewing on a piece of timber. No, the Aaron 1 is like, while his face is, made of metal, it is wonderfully expressive, and you see his expression sink. He's like, oh no, the engines. He goes, we tried to scupper the ship. Like, this is exactly what I tried to prevent, but you have to understand, like, the virus is intelligent. It moves with intent, and up until your arrival, it has been dormant because it had nothing to do, nothing to go out. I mean, the engine is damaged, it's unstable. Like, who knows what it's attempting, but maybe it's trying to fire up the ship again.
How long would a ship this size take to cycle up, Ali, Lynette?
Good question. And I say...
Could you take another knowledge check, please?
Do I get my advantage again?
Mhm.
Yeah. 5.
Okay, you can tell that the ship, it very much depends on the, health of the ship.
Yeah.
But you reckon the ship could be the kind of multi-drive, or no, the piercing array. You reckon the ship could be mobile again within 20 minutes, assuming it's in a state where it would even operate. I mean,
Yeah.
Aaron Wong tells you that, like, the crew members, the surviving crew members who damaged the engine didn't even return. Like, their last living act was to bring the ship down.
Okay.
He cannot guarantee that the engine, because he's just been kind of secured away. So either this ship
Run
is
away,
about to
run
burst,
away, run
either
away.
this ship is about to burst into the Extraverse, or
Yeah,
it's
we
about
can't-
to explode.
We can't leave because if
Or
it
burst.
takes off, even if we've got off of it and it leaves this universe,
then
it's
the
going to affect the
virus
extraverse.
continues.
Do we have any
floor-
weapons on the future legend? Even?
I was
Like,
about
could
to
we
ask
take it
that.
down?
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
they're usually not armed, these ships.
well, the question is also, like, while you may have some minor weaponry on the future legend, would Timbar be willing to kill you by...
Well, the dream would
Well, we
be
need to get out, and then Timbar bombs the
Yes.
place.
That would be ideal. But you currently cannot communicate with Timber.
What floor is engineering on, Lynette? Is it on?
Hey, you know what?
third
I won't make you take
Check.
a check. You just know that it would be at the rear of the ship on the lower
The floors.
floors.
The
Okay.
floor
Yeah.
we're on.
Which the
Yeah.
floor we're on.
Except
Okay.
that we can't get out through the door we're
No.
currently in.
So we need
Plus,
to go
there's
up.
zombies in that corridor.
Yeah, but if we run, just wondering whether we go to engineering.
Yeah.
We need to get
Well,
out
we
there.
need
Yeah.
to go up, I suppose.
We need to go up and
into
then
the
down
corridor
again.
and down.
Yeah. And I would like to say the clock is now very much ticking.
All right, I'm
I-
tall. I'm going to lift Lynette up and just shove her into the
Wait,
window room above us.
Do we have a decision here? Are we going to engineering? Or are we bailing on the ship?
I think we need to stop the engines.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
we can't guarantee that we can take the ship down if it takes off.
Engineering then.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go. Right,
So, yeah,
we're
I'm going to
to
shove Lynette up. So if I need to do a strength check for that, I will.
So that's the course of action. You're going to go up to the second
Yeah,
floor
yeah,
corridor
yeah.
and try and make
To
your
try
way.
and get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grand. But it's like you're being noble. This is what I like about all of you. You're trying to get, you're going to try and get to the engine room.
That's the
basically.
idea. Yeah.
Grand. Okay, well that's fine. I'm not even going to make you
Okay.
check. You're able to.
We're
give
so
Lynette
noble.
a
He's
boost.
giving it to us.
Okay. Okay, so up here, can I just see the room?
Yeah, it's basically, if you can imagine, most of the floor has caved out. There is a thick enough ledge, surviving ledge, maybe kind of like a meter wide, leading to the door,
Okay.
to the corridor.
Right. So I'm probably going to need to open this door before anyone else comes up here because I'm taking up all the space.
Yeah.
Right, so does the door open?
The door has no power, because again, only the med bay had the power.
Okay.
But, you reckon that with a bit of tinkering, you'd certainly be able to.
Okay,
Open
well,
it
I
up.
tinker with the door then.
Okay, you know what? Fine. So I'm going to say that you have it at your ready. You know, you could.
I've climbed up in the
You've
meantime.
over. Okay, so yeah, and Aragon helping him up as well.
Yeah.
Well, he's heavy. He can probably help me up.
You are relatively strong. I
Yeah,
mean, like,
yeah.
I reckon you'd be able to.
I think between the two of us, we can probably manage to get up to the next level somehow.
Fine. Okay. Well, look, I'm just going to say.
I'm
like,
basing this on the idea of I'm about sort of like 8 foot tall, so I'm probably the best one to be
Yeah.
shoving people through a ceiling.
Okay. Basically, I mean, I'm just going to say, Lynette, like, you can open this door
Okay.
at your when you're ready. I'm just thinking, like,
Okay.
as a team, make sure you're all on the same page that this is what you
Right.
want.
I'm going to
Well,
try and just like put all of the stuff I've managed to grab from the med bay kind of around and get my spear.
Let's listen
Yeah.
at the door.
And don't forget, like, you have a gun as well.
I do have a gun,
now.
but
Yeah.
spears need
whether-
2 hands.
Nick, whether you can have your shield one above, one below in the doorway.
Mhm.
We can be pointing our guns through the gaps, and Ratura can maybe have your spear.
Yeah, okay,
ready
so
to
I'll
stab
take point
anything.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, is
open the door.
everybody ready?
Yeah.
Okay, door open.
You the door opens, and again it has that kind of horrible screeching now sound where you can sense, the motors are struggling. It wrenches open, and you get that cracking of mucus, and you
Love
step
that sound.
out into a humid corridor. Stepping out. Remember the bridge and how
Yeah.
kind of damp and mucus that was? This is worse.
Worse than that.
It's like walking through a petri dish. There are thick, rather, layers of slime dropping from the ceiling, and the walls are practically biological.
Is there anything alive in the corridor?
Well, I mean,
Other than all of that.
nothing you can see other than a thick cover, like a really thick covering of mucus.
I say we just we
Yeah.
motor. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's
Okay.
go.
To the stairs at the back.
Okay, grand. So you start powering your way down the corridor, and the going is a little hard. You're kind of like, the mucus is in some places maybe like 6 inches thick.
Jeez.
This is a really kind of damp, horrible area. But looking down, you can see aside from the mucus, you mostly have an unobscured kind of path towards the end of the corridor. Okay, you make your way there without incident. You have this kind of horrible sense of urgency now, with that rumbling is kind of growing in the background. You can hear the son of the Silent Age making screeching, kind of like moaning noises in the back. Lynette, as an engineer, as a mechanic all your life, the ship sounds like it's in pain. It's practically dead to begin with. This is not a healthy ship. You're going to have serious doubts whether the ship will actually, make it off the ground or not. But, you have to be certain. Okay, so you make your way to the back of the ship, and there is a stairwell going down, which will take you back down to the ground floor. Bear in mind, there were things pounding. The ground floor is where things were.
But they'd entered the med bay, hadn't they?
Yes,
That's true.
So when you kind of crashed, you fell directly through, kind of ship, and you landed in quite a large pool. So kind of as you go down, you're going to be on the far side of that pool, kind of behind some of the wreckage. Actually, so come to think of it, the zombies probably can't get to you through that bit, if you think about it. So, yeah, okay, so you descend the stairs.
Unless there are more zombies.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
There were probably more zombies. We've still got a bloody Hulk to deal with as well.
There's like how many members of the crew unaccounted for at this point?
We got up to about
13?
10 or something.
There were 10 unaccounted members, and you saw 3 zombies burst into the room.
Which means there's 6 more and the big dude.
Yes,
Right.
Basically.
Okay. We didn't kill any of them.
So I guess turn order here is like you go down with your shields.
I'll lead.
Lynette and Aaron pointing guns all over the place, and I'll bring up the rear with
I'm
my
holding
spear.
2 pistols, by the way, in the arms that are holding the shields. So.
Fine. So as you descend down the stairs, down to the bottom of the ship, again, like on the bridge, you find that your way is obscured by, a film of mucus kind of stretching from ceiling to floor. You've dealt with this before. You know you can make your way through.
I'll stab it with my spear.
Fine. Okay. So a bit of resistance, then it bursts. You're no longer bothered by the rush of dank, hot,
Too much of a
thick
mission.
air which kind of pushes through, and you part this curtain of film and you enter the engine room. And
Lynette, break it.
Shut it down.